Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi podcast. Today is a great day. I have with me SHIVANI PANCHAL, who has secured All India rank of 53 in UPSC Civil Services examination. First of all, congratulations SHIVANI.
Thank you so much, sir.
It's a great feat that you have achieved, and I'm sure that our audience will be looking forward to you for your suggestions with respect to the preparation. So before we begin and go ahead, please introduce yourself briefly in front of the audience.
I'm Shivani Panchal. I have done my graduation from NIT Kurukshetra in civil engineering, and before starting preparing for UPSC, I worked for 2 years in the corporate sector, and I'm currently an HCS officer under training in Chhatchar.
Okay, great. So, it's a double victory kind of thing. Since you are already serving as a civil servant in Haryana government, and after that, you have cleared this thing, and most likely 100% you will be getting IAS itself. So, it's a great feat. So, one thing that I noticed is that you are coming from a technical background, that you completed your engineering in civil,
Yeah.
and after that, you have worked also in JSW. So first of all, since your optional is sociology, so what prompted you to actually shift from civil engineering to sociology?
Actually, being an aspirant, the first and foremost reason was that civil engineering is too big to study.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the reason. And also then I was searching for other options.
Okay.
So I find sociology very interesting.
Okay.
As it helps us to analyze about the social issues and other things.
Okay, great. Yeah, a very valid point rather, because sociology gives us a good perspective about how to actually analyze whatever social processes, phenomena are going. Yeah. However, one important point which I would want to bring it to the notice of the audience as well is that since you were a working professional, you worked for 2 years, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that you were very enjoying the work, and you were working under a good package as well. So what was that driving motivation or that factor which pushed you to actually pursue this journey of civil services?
UPSC was actually my childhood dream.
Okay.
During my childhood, I used to think that I want to become an IAS officer one day. But as the turns in the academy, I joined the engineering college, then the corporate sector. I was not able to work on my childhood dream.
Okay.
Then finally in 2023, I talked to my mother and said, I want to prepare for this exam. And she said yes.
Okay,
Then.
great. So this means that your mother plays a very pertinent role in your decision makings as well.
Yes.
I will come to your mother, but before that, I would want to know that since UPSC or clearing this examination was your childhood dream, but since you're working, and as we know that working professionals have paucity of the available time with them. So how did you manage those 2 years with respect to the UPSC prep?
During my corporate sector, I was doing research because somewhere I'm mentally prepared that I have to start preparation.
Okay.
I research about the resources, which optional I should take, and what kind of a books I have to refer. And after then I started preparation.
So did you utilize those 2 years also in going for the preparation for sociology or for the GS, or were you only inclined towards planning during that time?
I was only much more about the planning.
Okay.
And I just want to be better prepared before starting the preparation.
Okay, so you left your job and then you started the preparation.
Yeah.
So you gave 1 year exclusively for the full-fledged preparation for this examination, right?
Yes.
So so this actually testifies the fact that ultimately it is a bit difficult for the working professionals as well. And but the kind of suggestion which you have given, that if you are a working professional, you have to plan it out accordingly, that you have to use that time to actually optimize whatever resources you have in hand and how to implement it, right?
Yes, definitely.
And coming back to your mother, so since you have said and mentioned that you talked to your mother and she guided you that okay, you pursue your childhood dream. So what role does your mother has played in your in this success?
My mother's role is very much like I'm a single mother child.
Okay.
And she's every kind of support, emotional support, mental support, financial support pillar of my life. And during my preparation, she used to make sure that everything is done on a time, because as we know that aspirant have a certain time schedule.
Okay.
She manage her working professional along with my preparation.
Right. So, like this is a great, like what should we say, that it's a great fortune to have your mother alongside along with the preparation, because that belief system, it's a great thing. So now coming back to the examination point of view, like now since you came out of the job, you resigned from the job, and you had 1 year for the prep. So how did you plan and how did you approach the preparation for the civil services?
Firstly, as all the teachers and toppers used to say that be means ready before the prelims.
Right, absolutely.
So from the first year onwards, I started preparing for optional, and
Okay.
side by side, I used to prepare for my foundations like polity, economy, some foundation subjects. I continue it for till October,
Okay.
and then in the GS part, I started making notes for mains specific like internal security, which are not a part of the foundation as such we consider.
Okay.
And side by side, I used to revise the optional.
Okay, great. One of the major problems which students are facing nowadays is that everything, that the information is flooded in the internet.
Yeah.
For everything, if you want to Google about anything, you will get 10 options. So were you facing similar kind of problems with respect to your preparation?
Yes, definitely. This is a problem.
Okay.
That too much information is available.
Yes.
But we have to मतलब कि अपने आप को थोड़ा सा वो कर लें कि इतना ही information we have to use that much utilize.
So can you help us understand this thing with some examples which you had done? कि आपको भी पता है कि resources बहुत ज़्यादा हैं अभी इंटरनेट में, so आप कैसे उसको limit करते थे? How did you use to limit the resources?
So let's take an example in the like social governance part.
Okay.
Governance part and the
Okay.
social. I have to research about the NGOs.
Okay.
Then I will just visit the 2 sites on
Okay.
Google, nothing more than that.
Okay.
And I have to collect the examples.
Okay.
Rather than going and reading the things, I used to click on the images, and if I have like pictorial images will come of
Right.
certain names of NGOs, and that would suffice for me.
So yeah, it's a rather very innovative way of scraping the information out of the Google, because nowadays searching relevant content for a particular topic, it's a massive task, because you will get tens and hundreds of options for that. So did you follow the same approach of limiting the number of resources which you are using for a topic for the entire GS and the optional?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So like what was your strategy with respect to optional in that case?
In the optional, my resources were very limited.
Okay.
Because I've understood, and at the end of the day, you have to write 150 words answer or 200 words answer.
Okay.
And on collecting the more information for that much answers, it's not will work, because you have to revise it later as
Okay.
well. And when you have too much information about a one thing, then you will not be able to take a judgment in during the paper, like which I have to mention, which I have not to mention.
Absolutely. One thing which you mentioned is revision. So many a times students, they get stuck in the loop of reading again and again and reading more.
Yeah.
That if they have completed one book, they will shift to the next book. But many a times students don't realize that it is entirely the game of the revision. How many times you are going to repeat the same thing over and over again? So keeping that thing in mind, what was your strategy with respect to revisions? How did you use to revise things which you have already completed?
So firstly, I have read all the basic books.
Okay.
Then my plan was to revise every month a subject.
Okay.
Like firstly, in the first revision, you will be able to cover only 3 subjects. Let's say polity. Polity will take 15 days in the
Right.
first revision.
Right.
In the next revision, it should take the 7 days.
Right.
And at the end of the day, your content should be that much precise or concise that you will be able to do like nearly 7 to 8 revisions. Because as many of the information get retained in our mind.
Right.
We don't have to revise it again and again. The information which we usually forget, we have to revise that.
Absolutely. So you had usually students, an average student has a schedule for reading new things.
Yeah.
But whatever I could gather is that you were having a schedule for the revision as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you please briefly elaborate, like how did you use to like design your entire day for the reading part and for the revision part? Like how did your a normal day looked like?
Okay, firstly I'm a morning person.
Okay.
In the morning I used to do till 12. I used to read the new content till
Okay.
December.
Okay.
Okay. After then I take a bath and have a lunch. I had a very great nap.
Okay.
And in the evening session, then I do revisions.
Okay. So the one half of the day is for the new reading, and
Yeah.
one half of the same
Revision.
day is for the revision
Yeah.
of whatever you had studied the same day
Yeah.
or the previous
Or the
days.
previous day.
Okay, it's a very unique way of studying. So how many hours were you giving in a day? Like in the lean season, when like the examination is quite far, how many hours were you studying?
Like 8 to 9 hours.
8 to 9 hours still.
Yeah.
So 8 to 9 hours is a great amount of like effort which you are putting in. Again, it's a, I guess if students are able to give 8 to 9 hours in the lean seasons, so I guess that will be a good marker that
Good.
they will be able to achieve the same fit which you have done,
Yeah.
right? Now, since you know that the prelim is very near, and one of the most threatening element of this examination is the prelim itself,
Yes.
and I'm sure that you were also a little bit worried about you
Definitely.
clearing the pre-exam or not. So, what kind of fear were you feeling about the pre-exam, and what was your strategy with respect to the pre?
Firstly, after seeing the 2023 prelims
Okay.
and the aspirant reaction, I was very scared.
Right.
Like in the last 4 to 5 months, 5 2 years, the UPSC prelims pattern has been changed a lot, and so I was scared. Definitely, everyone was scared. And in the strategy about strategy, the firstly you should focus on static. As someone said that static is a kingmaker in
Right.
a prelims.
Right.
The first majority portion, and the second I focused majorly on the PYQs.
Okay.
I used to analyze them thoroughly again and again. I have done the PYQs like 4 to 5 times.
Okay.
And my third portion pillar was the current affairs. A little bit where you have to be some selective.
Okay, now this is one of the most like pressing pain point for the students. That is the current affairs. Many students, they go for multiplicity of sources. They will say that okay, we are not able to read newspapers religiously and consistently. So, what kind of like suggestions you would want to share with the student so that they can align their current affair preparation so that ultimately it will like yield them good results?
So firstly, for the current affair, the basic thing is about the understanding.
Okay.
We go through the monthly magazines or the annual magazines that much without having an understanding of our international relation or be it polity or economy. So read the newspaper in the initial 1 2 months,
Yeah.
very holistically, like understand. After reading that, you will able to understand which will be helpful for the UPSC or which will be not.
Okay.
So the first thing, I read newspaper during my whole preparation. And the second thing, I used to revise them by monthly magazine.
Okay.
I don't make any notes
Okay.
because it was very burdensome for me, and I was also annual magazines are also burdensome for me.
Right.
So
So your strategy was to read newspapers religiously every day
yeah.
without making notes, but to revise the entire thing by having the month
Monthly
end.
mags.
Yeah, because if you are reading the newspapers every day, so at least core of the core issues we'll be aware of throughout the month itself, so we can revise it. And most of the magazines, whichever magazines which are available in the market, they usually cover entire topics
Yeah,
which are
definitely.
okay, great. And with respect to the mocks and with respect to the timing of the prelim, so since we know that pre happens roughly around in the May or June starting, so from what part of the year you switched entirely to the prelim mode?
Actually, during my preparation journey, it was very haphazard because side by side I was also preparing for the state PCS.
Okay.
But as my HCS prelims was on in the Fab, so I started switch to prelims in the Jan on the first
Okay.
Jan.
Okay. So like from the Jan itself, you switched entirely to the prelims, and you are not focusing towards the mains part.
No, I was revising side by side the optional part
Optional part. Okay.
because I have a mains as well of the state PCS.
State PCS. Okay. So I'm 100% sure that that would have held in your UPSC prep as well, because the frequency of revision got increased.
Yeah.
Now, since you cleared this examination, of course you have cleared the pre. So what were the important challenges which were in front of you with respect to the mains examination?
In the mains, the first challenge was the GS4. I was
Okay.
very scared of the ethics, like the content, how to prepare that, and how to structure my case studies. And apart from that, in the mains, the subjects is very much. The number of subject increase, and you have to like concise them, precise them, and the data that you
Right.
have to quote in the
Right.
answer writing, and also completing the paper on the time and structuring of the answers. and the dimension of the answer. So many things are challenging for the mains.
Right. So, like, how did you manage to get out of this such challenges?
The challenge is, firstly, I have a very paucity of the time for the mains. So I narrow down the things which are important, which are not for me, because right now I'm not able to study all the things.
Right.
So according to that, and I also, rather than giving the FLTs, I switched to writing 1 or 2 answers daily.
Okay. So daily you were writing 2 to 3
Yeah,
answers. So were you not in a position to give the FLTs because of the paucity of the time?
Yes, because I was in the training.
Okay, for the Haryana
Exactly.
Civil Services. Okay, and but the thing is that like if you were writing 2 to 3 answers, so were you reviewing it also? How did you use to assess your own answers?
Firstly, I used to write the PYQs.
Okay.
So there is a lots of content on the Google. Someone has given the answer properly. Firstly, I used to write myself, and then I checked that is the introduction is okay. Is something new could be added, or something new code could be added, or if I have like break down the question in the proper parts, or more dimensions could be added to it.
Right.
For example, the suggestions or the any improvement challenges.
Any committee reports, etc. So did you have any like subject-wise notes also for the GS?
Yeah, GS, for GS I made every subject specific.
So every point of the syllabus you must be having some notes for it. So how much time did it take you to create and curate such notes altogether for the GS? Because many times students, they come to us and they say that, okay, sir, we are not able to create the entire notes for the entire GS 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would want from you itself, so that you can give suggestion to the students that, okay, in this amount of time, note making is possible.
Like I made the GS apart from the core subject in the 2.5 months. I give an example of internal security.
Okay.
Like for example, I take the last 5-year PYQs and I saw that these are the repeated themes. And this is the syllabus and this is the single book that I'm going, internal security book. So with these, I mapped out, and these things are important. Like on the left wing extremism, there is one thing. On the terrorism, every time they ask question. On the cyber crime, they ask question.
Right.
So I curated a mind map that on these topic I have notes.
Right. Okay.
In this way, I concise it.
So for that thing, you must have analyzed the PYQs beforehand.
Yeah, beforehand.
And then you started preparing the notes out of the limited resources that you had picked out. Okay, that is again a very great suggestion for the students as well, that we need to limit the resources, and before you actually get down to the resources, we need to do the PYQ analysis, so that we are very well targeted. We know that, okay, from left wing extremism, these are the dimensions that we need to put into the notes, right?
Definitely.
Again, it's a great suggestion. Now coming to the next leg of the exam, which is the personality test, and it is again very delightful that you have scored great marks in personality test as well. So what are the top 3 suggestions you would want the students to know if they want to score good marks in PT?
Firstly, analyze the every portion of the DAF, be it your qualification, educational qualification, or be it your optional, and be it your anything, like from which place you belongs to. Firstly, analyze the DEF properly. Second, the newspaper reading. That is very important, because they ask about your thoughts. That what is your perspective on the certain topic. And third, I want to be true to yourself. Reflect your own personality and do not try to like kind of make it mechanical. Be very organic there, and there is a cordial board always, like, and they love the organic personality there.
Now, since these are the things more related to the exam, I wanted to know more about the emotional management side of this preparation. We know that this examination takes a toll on any aspirant. It is very difficult to cover the syllabus, because everything which is there under the sun almost falls within the syllabus. So I'm sure that there would had been days where you were not feeling that great or that motivated. So how did you used to manage those days?
So there are the 2-3 ways. The first ways was like I was preparing from home. So I used to go to my mother room and used to rent out everything. Like, this is not happening. I'm not able to complete the paper. I'm not able to write the answer, this or that. She used to ensure me, like, you have to have faith on yourself. You have achieved earlier. You're going to ace it, like, kind of. Second, the journaling also helped me. I used to write my random thoughts. Like, sometimes we get into a thought by procrastination, a loop cycle in which we started thinking about, oh ये नहीं हुआ तो ये भी नहीं होगा, ये भी नहीं होगा, ये भी नहीं होगा,
Right.
वो लूप होल बनता जाता है.
Right.
So I used to note down my thoughts and used to analyze it.
Yeah, and again, it's a very important suggestion from Shivani is that ultimately knowing that we are procrastinating.
Yeah.
So it needs a degree of self-awareness as well. That we
Definitely.
are aware that we are procrastinating things. And secondly, a very important suggestion which you have given is journaling. So I would want all the student community also to take a very important point from you, and thank you for telling us this thing over here, is that journaling is one of the best techniques of getting more self-awareness about how you are feeling, about your own patterns, about your own decision makings. So that if you are aware of what kind of decisions you are making, you can actually regulate it, modulate it according to the need of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And lastly, to conclude, what I would want from you is that what are the top 3 things which students should keep in mind who are just starting the preparation so that they can also achieve such a remarkable feat which you have done?
So to the future aspirant, I just want to say one thing. The first and foremost, have a faith in yourself. Anybody could do this exam. So don't doubt yourself. Second, before starting the preparation, do a particular research about this exam, that in which आप जिस बैटल में घुस रहे हो उसके बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए. कौन से रिसोर्सेज आपको करने हैं, कितना टाइमलाइन आपको लगेगा, या फिर क्या आपको रिसोर्सेज को पिक करना है, किस टीचर्स को आपको रेफर करना है, या फिर आपको कैसे प्रिपेयर करना है. एंड थर्डली, enjoy your life to the fullest, be calm, and all the best.
Okay. Thank you, Shivani, for joining us over here. I would like to congratulate you again.
Thank you so
that
much.
you have secured such a great rank, and I'm very sure that your mother would be proud of you, and you are a role model for the entire aspirant community, not only the aspirant community, but as a women, as a community as a whole. Okay, so congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot for joining us over here.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.